My name is Susanna Madora Salter. I made my name in history by being the first woman who got to serve as the United States mayor anywhere in the United States. Interestingly enough, I was not the first one elected. The first one elected was back east somewhere, and her husband refused to let her serve. And it's very interesting how all this came about. My husband and I were living in Argonia, Kansas, and his father was the mayor, he was the city clerk. I was active in the Women's Christian Temperance Union, and also in the Temperance Party, because we had elections coming up. I was active in that. And in the course of this, the Temperance Party decided to have a caucus to put together a slate of officers or slate of candidates for the upcoming mayoral and senatorial elections. And for some reason, probably because they had seen me in committee work and running meetings for the Temperance Union, the Temperance Party chose me to moderate the caucus. And so that was fine. We came up with a slate of candidates that we were happy with. But because it was temperance, meaning no drinking, no gambling, some of the Republican gentlemen who were not of that persuasion, let's just say, decided that they would embarrass the party and embarrass me and embarrass any other woman who got uppity enough to talk in public by holding a secret caucus, endorsing the same slate of candidates, only substituting my name in for the mayor candidate. And I had no idea. I'm in the backyard doing the laundry. I had 4 kids and a husband, so I'm back at the wash tub doing laundry, and somebody comes running up through the back gate and says, Dora, because that's what my friends call me, is Dora, your name is on the ballot for mayor. If we elect you, will you serve? And when Lewis's jaw came back up off the floor, because he had no idea, and we talked about it, he said, oh sure, you can go ahead and accept. I think in hindsight, the only reason he said that I should accept was that he knew I wouldn't get elected, so it just was a non-issue. Well, as it turned out, all of the Women's Christian Temperance Union ladies leaned on their husbands, because if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And the Temperance Party thought she did a great job with the caucus. She's got to be okay for running a meeting, a smaller meeting. And some of the men in town didn't like it that the Republicans had gone behind the corner and done something secret to purposely embarrass and subvert the democratic process.
Suzanne, could you speak up a little bit? The crowd in the back.
Okay. And so they voted for me. And I think my husband may have been the result of a few votes in my favor also, because he spent, after he told me I could go ahead and accept, he spent the entire rest of election day telling people, don't vote for her, don't vote for her. And he wasn't all that popular in town before that, so the long and short of it is that I won the race by a 2/3 majority. And most of our slate of officers, most of our slate of candidates also won, which opened the door to actually do some things about cleaning up the worst of the gambling halls and the saloons. So there was a little bit of the temperance push, but I was smart enough to know that there was going to be a limit to what I could do, and if I didn't get greedy, maybe some of what we did would stick. So most of what I did was just moderate meetings, keep things on task, keep the guys from talking about what they did last Saturday night and stick to the business of the city, We did manage to get some infrastructure things accomplished, some improvement in streets and fresh water for parts of the town that didn't have it, and a few things like that. But I tried to keep kind of a low profile. Interestingly enough, when I was elected, we didn't know it yet, but I was pregnant with my 5th child. And he was born in mid-December of 1887, and we had him for only 11 days. And I didn't know then, I have come to know since then, that sometimes this happens with low birth weight babies. Sometimes they don't make it. He was the smallest of, I had 9 babies altogether, and he was the smallest. And you can imagine there was some conversation behind closed doors between Louis and me as to whether my unfeminine activities had perhaps occasioned this. And I didn't know enough to counteract my own guilt. So when anybody asked, since elections were coming up again, when people asked if I was planning on running again, I said, no, I've put my toe in the water. It's been fine. I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to go back to taking care of my family. And so I basically disappeared from public life. I didn't picket for women's suffrage. I supported the suffragists, but I wasn't out there on the lines. And I lived pretty quietly. And I lived a really long time. I died in 1961 at the age of 101. I had the joy of watching grandchildren and great-grandchildren grow up. I also had the sorrow of burying not only my infant son, but also my husband Louis and 4 of my children. It's been a long and interesting life. And with the exception of Edward's death, I wouldn't have changed a thing. But it's important for you ladies to know that some of the same struggles that you have now, we've had them for a really long time. It saddens me that you're still sometimes having to choose between career and family. Sometimes still having the guilt of, well, if I were a better mother, this or that wouldn't be happening. Keep up the fight, girls. We're all we've got, us and the love of God. That's all there is. So I thank you for your attention. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. But in the meantime, go ahead and go back to your yummies. I'm looking forward to finishing my scone.